Again. Well, during the 2010 campaign, former New York City Mayor Ed Koch aggressively campaigned for reform, and he got more than 100 state legislators to sign a pledge saying that they would co-sponsor independent redistricting commission legislation by March 1st. Well, that date is right around the corner, and there is no bill in sight. In fact, well, there's a bill, but it's not going anywhere at the moment. In fact, the Senate Republicans are starting to make some noises about reneging on their agreement. What will happen if these so-called heroes of reform fail to make good on their promises? Well, we're going to find out. Ed Koch was kind enough to stop by our studio in New York City. He's going to share his thoughts on the matter. Mayor, it is so good to see you.
Thank you so much. First, let me make very clear that we have a majority that signed. It's over 100. It's a majority in each of the chambers, Senate and Assembly, that signed a pledge that they will support legislation that will effectively have an independent commission for redistricting. Now, the legislation has been introduced. Former Assemblyman Gineris is now Senator Gineris, and his bill has been introduced in the Senate. And we don't know how many people will sign. I sent out a letter. I'm not confrontational. I mean, I want to. I'm not. I mean, I want us all. I want us all to be one happy family.
Of course.
And all I have said was that I believe that members of the state legislature are honorable people, and they will keep their pledges.
Okay.
But if
hold on,
if there's a dishonorable,
well, then they're in trouble because you'll be running around the state and making sure people know about it. Correct?
Exactly so. I will be upstate and downstate, looking at a television camera if there's one around, saying to people, "Now look, your assemblyman or your state senator who made a pledge is a liar, 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 pants on fire." That's one thing that we will do.
Right.
The second is that, and it was an idea that a young woman gave to me today. And I think it's a terrific idea, is that we will do, if we can raise the money to do it, robocalls to the voters in that particular legislator's district saying the same message: your legislator is a liar. But I don't think that will happen.
Okay.
Or that it will happen in many cases.
Mayor, let's just slow down for 1 second. I mean, in the case of the bill that you're speaking of in the Senate, it is, of course, Mike Gineris. He's been a champion of this. He's been here in the studio talking to me about redistricting. He's certainly an expert on it at this point. He's a Democrat. The Democrats are in the minority. So the real issue is, where are the Republicans? They're not looking like this is something that they're so anxious to get onto the floor.
Well, look, the Republican majority was the Republican minority when I called Dean Skelos, and I said, "This is in your interest.
Yes.
You could be the party of reform on this issue." And he said he would do it. He said, "Let me talk to my caucus so as to give them a heads up." He called me back shortly thereafter, and he said, "My whole caucus is joining me, and we're all coming on board." Now, he's an honorable man. I mean, you cannot tell me that Dean Skelos is a dishonorable person.
Okay.
I won't believe it.
Mayor, the thing, though, is I don't know how closely you've been following the Senate in the last 2 weeks, but, you know, the Republicans have rammed through some rules changes that the Democrats are quite unhappy about, and they say that the rules changes are actually not reform. I mean, now I understand it's not the pledges that you require.
That's not my issue.
I understand.
That's not my issue.
I get it. So you're...
My issue is, issues are limited to 3.
Right.
The redistricting, ethics expansion and reform, and a gap-balanced budget. I'm not involved in anything else up there.
Well, that's not actually. You are involved on this issue. Mayor Bloomberg asked you to become pension reform, right?
But that's a totally separate issue, and I'm not putting them together. And New York outrage, New York uprising is not involved with that. I am personally,
I see,
because I think it's one of the most important issues that faces the city. But that's a totally different issue.
Okay, I see. We should talk about it briefly before you go, but just to close the loop on the redistricting thing here, have you spoken to Dean Skelos lately, and has he said to you, I am in fact going to make good on my pledge, I am not a liar, and I'm going to bring this bill to the floor?
No, because I'm always up front and I tell the truth. I sent a letter. I had 2 telephone calls to Dean Skelos. They've all been unanswered. I'm just going to assume it's because he's busy in taking the reins of the majority. So we sent out a letter to everybody, including Dean Skelos, saying that on March 1, by March 1, everybody in both chambers should be signing the legislation that would effectively do what we have talked about. And if they don't at that time, then I have no recourse but to do what I said I would do, call them to account and call them a liar.
Okay.
That is the people who don't sign.
Do you know what is the situation in the Assembly? We have seen Sheldon Silver, the Speaker, who did not sign your pledges, the only legislative leader to not sign the pledges in 2010, has at least made some noises about being open to the idea of this. You and he have had a number of conversations now. Yes. He says he's going to be introducing a bill. Have you seen this bill yet? Is that out there?
I have not seen the bill. I am hopeful that we can all agree on the same bill. It doesn't have to be the one that I brought to the attention of the legislators to be sponsored by March 1. It can be a joint new bill that accomplishes that which they pledged. There's no pride of authorship here. I hope that Shelley and Dean become jointly the champions of reform. I love that.
Okay, well, I do want to just talk
to you. So would my grandmother.
So would your grandmother. Is your grandmother still with us?
No.
I'm sorry to hear that.
But she's in heaven. She's in heaven. It's a long, long time ago. She's in heaven looking down and saying, Dean, sign. Shelley, sign.
Well, okay, that's pressure if I've ever heard it. On the pension front, just before I let you go, you know, it's not, at this point, the governor says that all of these issues are going to be after the budget. Is that something that you think is appropriate, that we wait until after the budget to address things like this?
There's nothing I can do about it. I know that the issue of redistricting has to be done now so as to get ready for the year in which it will take effect.
Right.
There's lots to be done. With respect to budget issues and pension issues, I'm not able to direct the governor on that. I know the governor is supportive of the pension changes in general, certainly supportive of the 3 issues that New York Uprising is supporting.
Right, right. Well, I want to thank you very much for joining us, former Mayor Ed Koch. It's always great to talk to you and to catch up. Thanks.
Thank you.
So, thank you. Still to come, I'm going to be joined by one of the freshman members of the new House majority. 20th District Congressman Chris Gibson has hit the ground running since he took office earlier this year. And actually, now he's got a bold and some say controversial energy plan that includes bringing a nuclear power plant to the capital region. Our conversation is coming up after the break. Stay with us.